Something happened to him? No. Look, I'm not here to topple President Lula. I don't believe we went through two impeachments already. And honestly, we as Brazilian, we as the people of the world, we all need to do what? Make sure the government succeed. And that's something that I want to bring to you, both Republicans and Democrats. We need to make sure the country succeed. And in this case, we need Trump and the White House. And we need to make him accountable. And we need to stop the craziness. Threat to democracy. Let's talk about this because it's the same argument that happened in the US, happened in Brazil's elections, that happened, around the same time. And it happened a couple of weeks ago here in Brazil. When you hear he's a threat to democracy, read he's a threat to the status quo. He's breaking things that used to work in a sense that in the system did this way, now they want to do it in another way. That's what you should read. Pablo Marçal made a campaign in Brazil. He was an outsider. He's a not an influencer, but he's a digital marketer, a digital player. Call it. He's well versed in all this what we're doing right now. He knows how to position and how to create narratives and etc. He's amazing. He sells as like nobody you ever saw. I usually say that the best sellers in Brazil are President Lula, Pablo Marçal, and a man called Elton Euler. I met all three. I did business with Pablo. I never voted for Lula, but admire his story. I admire his political career. Learn with him how not to do it. I don't believe in the same values. I never fell for the whole socialist thing, and I wasn't even an economist back then. But around 1990, when he lost, I think one of the biggest losses he had for the presidency, I went to watch him speak. I was a teenager, I believe, didn't vote. I wasn't allowed to vote yet because I wasn't 16. And they used to call him stupid. That was the 1989 campaign, 1990s was, that was a bloodbath. And they call him stupid. He's a moron, he's stupid because he never really went to school or formal education. I went, just out of curiosity, I've always been curious. I went to a small place. It was from the union. He was going to speak in a small place in a union in Campinas, near São Paulo. Man, what a surprise. I went in, open, and I was like, I wanted to see this guy. I want to hear from with my own ears. There was nothing stupid about that man. Very calculus. I mean, years ago, he had much more energy. What I saw was a man that was ready to lead, and he really believed what he believes, and he would give trouble to anyone that would be against him. And that's exactly what happened. It took a while, but in 2002, so literally 12 years, 11, 12 years later, he won the seat. They stayed in power for 16 years. There were 4 election cycles. His successor got impeached, left. There was President Bolsonaro, a fluke in the system. He came back. That is the definition of success in politics. Again, don't believe what he believes. Don't believe in his effectiveness. Don't believe he can do what the country needs. That's why we're here to help. We're here to make sure Brazil moves independently of whoever's in power. But it does affect the country. Pablo Marçal ran a campaign. And this is like an obituary. We're really calling the relic. But there's a lot of people talking about what happened, whether he made a mistake, was calculated. Honestly, knowing the man, even if it was a mistake, he's going to say it was calculated. But just to give you a brief hint, a brief summary, a candidate, and I'll put some videos here, a candidate outside the system. Brazil has now a very weird system for you to run for election, for office. There's about 5.5, or there's a lot of money, billions, that the parties divide amongst themselves. The caveat is the more seats you have in Congress, the more money you receive. Read, big parties receive big money, small parties receive very little money. In the end of the day, you have a maintenance of incumbents. Okay, that's really the reality. And the system was designed by who? By themselves. Okay, so in other words, you have money that is used for everything in the campaign. You have TV, like free TV. We, the people, pay for them to lie to us. So on TV, a lot of time. So all the commercials are not paid for. And then you have some contributions outside. Obviously, you have the political machines, the party system, people helping, mayors and, congressmen, state and federal, and the whole 9 yards. He had none of this. He had no right to this federal fund, and his party was a very small party, and he would receive very little, but he decided not to use it. He had no TV time, because essentially, if you don't have those congressmen, you don't receive any time. So he had none. He had no partnership with other parties or all the politicians, as traditional. And he said that he had only himself, a phone, and God, and the people. And you know what? He brought the people. Can't say if God was on his side. Honestly, can't say that. But he was able to go from zero at the beginning of when he announced his candidacy, he had like 2-3%, to almost winning and going to the second round. The current mayor, Nunes, the candidate Bowles, who is supported by the president, and him got almost the same votes. Pablo lost, didn't go to the second round for about 50,000 votes out of like 9 million. And the difference between the first place, Nunes, the current mayor, to the second is about another 40,000-50,000. I'll get the right numbers here after I finish. You know what? They together and the other candidates spent just to attack Pablo Marçal about 50 million reais. The two major candidates, they spent I'll get the right numbers, but around 100 million. Okay, and all the candidates, about 4 or 5, they spent, was it 130 million? I'll get the right numbers, but it's a lot of money. Okay, a lot of money from taxpayers. There was a lot of lies, and just like 2 years ago, when President Bolsonaro was punished, and when I say punish is when you make a statement, the election justice, there's an election court says you can't say this, they punish you, they give you fines, and also they take that ad away, because he called Lula a thief. He said he was uncondemned. It is a made-up word, because he was condemned by a judge. He appealed for like a second, like would be like a